Hey guys, you are watching this video and hopefully getting the little bit of recovery you need in order to retake or take last week's lesson check. I know it was a long weekend, so I wanted to go back through everything, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there during lead today because Tatum has pink eye. Unfortunately, I will be back tomorrow. What I want you to do is go along with this video. I have numbered the problems that they go with. Do them as examples, pause as you need to, work out the rest of the problems, check those answers with the key. When you feel ready, you can go ahead and take the retake version. If you feel ready today during lead to do that, that's great. If you want to go over some stuff with me before you do it, that's fine too. Just sign up for my lead any day this week. Okay, let's get started. So the first one, you're finding the value of each trig ratio and setting up the equation. So for tangent, I'm going to look at angle A. So first I need to mark the angle that I'm looking at. That is where a lot of you messed up last week. And then based on that angle, I'm going to label my opposite, my hypotenuse, and my adjacent. I know that tangent, so TOA, OA, uses opposite and adjacent. So those are the two sides I want to use. And I can set up that tangent is the opposite over the adjacent. So tangent of my angle is opposite over adjacent. That's it. All I had to do was set it up. Pause if you need to do a couple of these, or you can go back and do them at the end. The next type of thing we looked at was if I just tell you that cosine of some angle is this decimal, and I want to know what is that angle. So to get rid of this cosine so that you can just tell me what angle U is, you do cosine inverse of both sides. On this left side over here, the cosine inverse of cosine cancels. So I'm going to have U equals the cosine inverse of 0.6691. I am typing that directly into my calculator. Second cosine, 0.6691. When I do that, I get 48 degrees. Again, pause if you want to go ahead and do a few of these. You can come back to them at the end. On number 9, you are finding the missing side. Anytime you have the triangle there, either you've drawn it like the word problems we're doing this week, or it's already drawn for you, you need to label your opposite, your hypotenuse, and your adjacent. Pick the two sides that have information, so my opposite and my hypotenuse. My adjacent had nothing, so he's useless to me. And I'm going to match that to the trig function. So O and H goes with so sine. So I can set up that sine of my angle is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Now when you're trying to find a missing side, since you know that angle, you want to go ahead and put your sine of 37 over 1. That way you have a proportion and you can cross multiply. When I cross multiply sine of 37 times 19, I can actually type that in. I go ahead and type the 19 in first, and if I can get in the habit of typing that number in first, if it's on the bottom, it's diagonal, so I multiply. If it's on top, I'm actually going to divide. But as long as I type that number in first, I know I'm on the right track. But 19 times sine of 37, I can type straight into my calculator. I get 11.4. Make sure for your side you're rounding to the nearest tenth. For your angles, you're rounding to the nearest whole number. Again, pause if you want to go ahead and do a few practice problems, or you can go ahead and keep going through the video and go back and do them all. The last example I want to look at with you is number 13. You're finding the indicated measure for that angle. There is a triangle on your paper, which means you need to label the opposite, the hypotenuse, and the adjacent. You need to pick the two sides that have information. So the hypotenuse is totally blank, so it is not helpful. So I want to look at the opposite and the adjacent. The trig function that uses the opposite and the adjacent, the O and the A, TOA is tangent. So I'm going to set up the tangent of my angle, whatever it may be, is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. That's really what we just did on the first one too, except for this time I actually want to know this angle. So to find the angle, you have to do your tangent inverse of both sides. On the left side, the tangent inverse and the tangent cancel. And you're just left with theta equals tangent inverse of 32 over 41, which you can type straight into your calculator. So when you do that, you get 38 degrees. Again, you need to complete the recovery. You will be turning that in order to get the retake lesson check. So make sure you have enough done that I'm going to be able to look at it and say, yes, they should have taken it, and enough that you feel confident taking it. And then you can go ahead and take the retake.